Broadly put, I want to figure out how one changes the world, right? A little bit more specifically, I think the meta question for me has always been, how do you create more opportunity structures for the most vulnerable population? One of the reasons that so much social science research is irrelevant in the real world is because it doesn't look at local conditions. And then you try to replicate the program under some entirely different set of conditions, and it kicks you right in the face. I absolutely see one of the potential strengths of Cornwall is our ability to focus on the local, right? To bring in coalitions of stakeholders and help them work with one another, which can sometimes be an issue in urban environments. You get the right social and moral fiber around the work, you can make a whole lot of things work, right? The problem is, in a particular context, how do you align the available resources? And so then the problem of research becomes not so much what works. Is this program better than that program? Those are still questions that matter, but a better way to think about it is, how do we learn to improve whatever it is we're doing, right? We don't have some notion that we're going to hit a home run the first time up at the plate, right? But each time we come up, we're going to be better at it, right? Because we're now creating a process that is a learning process, right? And so that means that we're going to implement a program to see that fewer freshmen at Rutgers-Newark fail freshman English. Well, how do you do that? Well, for one thing, you have to change the people in the conversation. You have to talk to the freshmen, right? You have to talk to the instructors. If you're designing a research program, they should be a part of the design of that program. When you evaluate the data, they should be a part of that evaluation, so that rather than researchers being here and practitioners being there, you're trying to create a kind of stakeholder environments in which lots of folk can bring different perspectives on the problem, all with a notion of, we're going to try a little something, we're going to learn a little bit, we're going to try something different, right? We're thinking about an iterative process. That's where I hope Cornwall comes into this discussion. The job here is attractive to me in part because it allows me to combine my civil rights interest with my educational change interest, right? What kind of data do different constituencies in the state of New Jersey and the city of Newark need to understand their schools? We want to train community folk to do research, right? Partly so they're not always dependent on people like us, right? Partly because in some situations, perhaps we can create small income flows into the community. If some group needs a survey done about a needs assessment for Vailsburg, there's no particular reason why that has to be university people doing that, right? Local people can be trained to do that. I am quite confident that just having parents in authoritative positions, not washing blackboards, not mopping the floors, right, makes the school feels different to the kids from that neighborhood, right? What we are trying to do is develop them as paraprofessionals who can directly support the school's mission. I am really high on training community researchers just as a way to develop human capital. Being the researcher, the one shaping questions, the one analyzing data, the one interacting with one's neighbor in this knowledgeable way, it does something good for people's heads. I don't think there's any way we can be a legitimate urban research center and not engage with issues of violence. There is no way we cannot at some point engage in the issues, I'm going to call them, of decarceration. I think that's probably the broad way to say that. Some of our partners are heavily involved in housing issues, and given the impending gentrification of Newark, the broader issue is how does one do equitable gentrification? How do you bring in new folk, new resources without pushing out the people who have been here? I hope Cornwall is going to be a part of that discussion about how highlighting things that matter and focusing on how they matter.